However, we know that they're the same types of illnesses that people reported in Alaska. Now, the average lifespan of a person who did cleanup on the Exxon Valdez is 51 years old. Almost all those people who did work on the Exxon Valdez are now dead.
When oil is mixed with a dispersant like Corexit 9500, it could bind with water and therefore could be liable to be vaporized in hot waters and picked up by the clouds.
It's a different compound.
That's an interesting perspective.
It is interesting, and I have to tell you, I don't know that aspect of the dispersant and the water molecule, but at that point, we're talking about a different particulate. And water molecules can bond to smoke, dust, you name a lighter than air element, and it's going to move up into the cloud and fall back down, bonding with the water molecule.
You're talking about the oil spill and acid rain. I'm trying to figure out what's this. What are these spots in my yard? Anybody that does grass know anything about this kind of stuff? Please let me know. So right now I'm at the point where I don't know what the hell's going on. Excuse my Frencho, but this is what I'm finding in all my grass. Weird. Do the sun do that to plants? Do they eat them up? Do they spot them up? What is that? Is it the sun or is it oil? It's everywhere.
Today is June the 26th, 2010, Plano, Texas. I just saw a YouTube video, I believe taken somewhere in Mississippi, showing the problems with the plants, and it reminded me of what's going on in our own backyard right here. We thought it was some kind of a fungus, or because we don't use pesticides either, we thought maybe, you know, maybe a fungus, or I don't know, maybe just anything. But since it looks so much like what we saw on YouTube, I'm just going to show you this. Looks like something's just eating it, just eating through it.
These tiny dots look as though something burned straight through the leaf, and they're finding this everywhere.
The tiny dots appear different depending on the plant. On corn stalks, the dots seem to turn white in the center. On other plants, a white dust speckles the leaves, then destroys the green life underneath.
We found it all in the herbs, in the flowers, in the plum tree, in the weeds. It's apparently on everything.
As we do have reports of, how do we say, oil water. You've got one from a very reliable source.
I've got a multitude of them now from different places.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, from Florida, from Alabama, Louisiana. You know my friend in Louisiana?
Yes.
I've got one from North Texas. I mean, where's this stuff coming from? It's coming down from the sky.
Drinking water is another natural resource that's potentially affected by this oil gusher. Tell me your thoughts on this.
It's not potentially. It is being directly affected. When you have water, the way that we get moisture is water evaporates off the ocean. When it's contaminated by oil, what's evaporating off the ocean is actually the same in molecular structure, going up to the clouds, coming right over the land, and forming acid and black rain, which goes directly into our water system.
So are you drinking the water here in this area?
Absolutely not.
What are your friends and family?
Nobody's drinking the water down here.
So the locals know that the water tables already have been affected.
It's just common sense.
I just want to make one observation, which I'll be going into in the questions, and that is with respect to the use of chemical dispersants. We are treating chemicals with chemicals which don't actually remove or clean up the oil. They simply shift them to another part of the ecosystem while increasing the toxins in the Gulf, harming marine life, contaminating the water column, and threatening human life. And there is no scientific evidence that dispersants can be effective in an oil spill of this magnitude. But these chemicals make it harder to track how much oil is there and where it's going, and thus to determine liability. They are good for public relations, but nobody can guarantee they are safe. Already we're hearing of people getting sick because of the use of these chemicals. In fact, there's already anecdotal evidence that people are getting sick from the mixture of oil and toxic dispersants. We are basically airdropping this toxic stuff all over the Gulf. It reminds me of Agent Orange, and I'm greatly concerned that during this cleanup, we are conducting an uncontrolled experiment with all the marine and human life in the Gulf Coast region, and an uncontrolled experiment that could result in thousands and thousands of people getting sick or dying as a result of the cleanup, not of the original disaster.
And we're in the West Jefferson Medical Center. This hospital is 2 hours away from the Gulf oil disaster. Yet many patients are coming here with a lot of emergencies. Let's go inside and take a look to see what's going on. Since the Deepwater Horizon oil spill on April 20, 2010, more than 100 illnesses have been reported in Louisiana and Alabama. West Jefferson Medical Center in Marrero, Louisiana, has seen 11 cases. 3 of those patients had to be airlifted. I spoke with one of the emergency room doctors treating these workers. This is one of the leading hospitals here in the Gulf area to treat accidents in rigs and things like that in the oil industry, but now you're seeing patients with other types of complaints. What kind of complaints are they having?
We've seen anything ranging, think of it from head to toe, headaches, dizziness, lightheadedness, nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, chest pain, shortness of breath, some trauma, injuries, multiple complaints.
None of the oil spill workers we reached out to who were complaining of health problems would speak on camera. On May 27, 2010, West Jefferson Medical Center conducted this interview with a fisherman who didn't want to be identified by name about his condition.
I was feeling weak, and I thought I had real high blood pressure. We believe maybe it's from the dispersal, but you have the other guys too that was feeling bad, headaches and nauseated.
The hospital has a contingency plan for disasters, and one of the tools they use is a hazmat tent. Oil spill workers admitted with symptoms of toxic irritants are decontaminated here before entering the ER for treatment.
As far as you could see, the bands were getting thicker. At 23 miles out, we encountered the heaviest sheen yet. This was the dark pinks and purples, the colors that we had seen in the first flights out. It was obvious that this was what was coming to our beaches, and there was nothing we could do about it. At 23 miles out, we encountered the heaviest sheens yet. The water there was a deep purple, maroon, blue. It looked almost like a rainbow. Boats on the surface looked tiny in comparison to the horizon. The scope of this is beyond belief. It'll take years at this rate to gather up even a portion of the oil that's on the surface today. Some of it looks more like bruised internal organs of the human body than the surface of the ocean. And yet that's what it is. Some of it looks as if a child had sprayed silly string all over the surface. There's nothing silly about these strings of oil that float on the Gulf of Mexico today. First time I came out and saw a fire, there was only one. Today, when we got here, there were 4. Within a couple of passes, there were 7. From the size of these fires, it seems as though we're not only trying to kill everything in the Gulf of Mexico, but everything that flies over it as well. This toxic environment can't be good for the birds that fly over the Gulf, and certainly nothing can live in these rainbows of death that cover the entire horizon. These rainbows stretch for miles in every direction. You can't see a clear place on the Gulf anywhere around this.
I'm telling you, a week ago, that roof was pure white.
Because it's a brand new roof.
It is. And that's what alarmed me yesterday. I mean, that's like oil rain. Look at that. Now you can see it. Look at that.
Yeah, see those stripes? Dark stripes? There wasn't there before. Look at that. Here.
The main thing that I think we're all learning from this catastrophe is how little we know about such catastrophes. Every day we're learning something new. Unfortunately, almost everything that we're learning is bad.